Kevin Hale never fit the stereotype of a billionaire. Yes, he owned half a dozen tech companies, had a penthouse in Manhattan with a skyline view, and could buy anything he wanted with a single swipe. But after losing his father unexpectedly and watching everyone around him chase his money rather than his humanity, he began to feel like a ghost wearing expensive clothes, visible yet unseen. So one fall morning, the wind sharp and cold, he made a choice that even his board members would have called insane. He pulled on a pair of torn jeans, a faded brown jacket that smelled like old storage rooms, and boots so worn the soles were almost gone. He smeared dust on his face, tucked his hair under a frayed beanie, and stepped out of his luxury apartment through the back exit so no one would recognize him. He wanted to feel alive again. He wanted to understand struggle. He wanted for once to meet people who saw him, not his wealth. And that was how a billionaire ended up walking through the streets of Portland, Oregon, pushing a broken cart he bought from a scrapyard, pretending to collect recyclable cans. He didn't expect anyone to notice him. He didn't expect kindness. But life always surprises you at your most fragile moments. The first encounter. Nayla Carter was used to people ignoring her. A 26-year-old woman working 2 jobs, morning cleaner at a laundromat and night cashier at a small grocery store. She lived quietly, saving every dollar she could while taking care of her little sister Ivy. On that particular morning, she stood outside the laundromat, tying her apron when she noticed a man crouched near the trash bin, digging for recyclables. Something about him made her pause. His shoulders were broad, his posture strong, but there was a sadness, heavy and quiet, resting on him. His hands didn't move like someone used to scavenging. And when he looked up for a second, she saw eyes that didn't match the dirt on his face. Bright, sharp, searching. She felt something tug inside her. Empathy, curiosity, a strange concern she couldn't explain. "You don't have to dig in there," she said softly. Kevin froze. He wasn't used to being spoken to with gentleness, especially not while dressed like this. Nayla walked to the back room and returned with 2 bags of sorted recyclables. "I keep the good ones separated," she explained. "You can take these. They're clean." Kevin stared at her. No one had ever offered him something without expecting anything in return. He cleared his throat, trying to keep up the disguise. Are you sure?" Nyla nodded. "Yeah, you look like you needed a break." He took the bags carefully, like they were something precious. "Thank you," he murmured. His voice was deeper than she expected, steady yet carrying some hidden ache. "People don't usually thank me," she joked awkwardly. "Customers yell more than they smile." Kevin smiled, an actual unguarded smile that warmed something inside her. For the first time in months, he felt human. The coffee that shouldn't have happened. As Nyla went inside to start her shift, Kevin stayed outside longer than necessary, pretending to adjust the cart. But really, he couldn't walk away. Not yet. He wanted another moment, another word, another glimpse of the woman who, without knowing him, treated him like a person. When Nayla stepped out during her 10-minute break, she found him still there. "You're still around?" she asked. Kevin hesitated. "Yeah, kinda slow morning." She tilted her head. "Have you eaten?" His answer came before he could think. "No." Nayla sighed and pulled a warm paper cup from her jacket pocket. "I got an extra coffee by mistake this morning. You can have it." Kevin blinked. A billionaire being handed a $2 coffee like it was a gift from the universe. He accepted it with both hands. "Thank you, really." "Don't mention it. Everyone deserves something warm." He took a sip. It was cheap, a bit burnt, watery, and it was the best thing he'd tasted in years. Not because of the flavor, but because someone cared. A spark in the cold. As they spoke, the world around them continued like nothing unusual was happening. Cars rushing by, cold wind brushing fallen leaves across the sidewalk, the laundromat humming in the background. But for Kevin, the moment was different. For the first time in a long time, he wasn't Kevin Hale, the billionaire CEO. He wasn't someone whose emails got answered in minutes or whose presence changed boardrooms. He was just a man, a stranger, a soul wandering. And she saw him anyway. Nayla didn't flirt. She didn't ask anything too personal, but her kindness felt like sunlight in winter. When her break ended, she waved before going back inside. "I hope your day gets better," she said. Kevin wanted to say something meaningful, something that explained how she'd just given him the first real human interaction he'd had in months. But all he managed was a quiet. It already did. The decision that changed everything. He should have walked away, returned to his penthouse, washed off the disguise, gone back to being the billionaire everyone expected him to be. But when he pushed the cart down the street, he felt something unfamiliar tightening in his chest, an emotion he hadn't felt in years: hope. So instead of leaving Portland that afternoon like he originally planned, Kevin rented a tiny room on the poor side of town using a fake name. He told himself it was temporary, just a few days, just curiosity. But deep down he knew the truth. He wanted to see her again. The woman who treated a scavenger with more respect than people treated a billionaire. And he didn't know it yet, but this was the beginning of a story that would reshape both of their lives. A story of truth, love, sacrifice, and a marriage no one would ever believe. Kevin didn't intend to stay in Portland more than a few days, but days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, each one tied to the quiet gravity of Nayla's kindness. He kept the disguise, the dirt, the broken cart, the fake name, not because he enjoyed lying, but because he wanted to know one thing: would anyone ever love him without his money? And though he feared the answer, he couldn't ignore the connection that grew between them. The woman who saw his soul. Nayla wasn't the type who fell for someone easily. Her life had been too hard for fairy tales. Running from job to job, paying overdue bills, caring for her sister Ivy, fixing the broken heater in their apartment with duct tape and prayer. But she found comfort in Kevin's presence. He was gentle, he listened, he laughed in a way that felt real, not forced, not performative. And even though he had nothing to offer materially, he had the rarest thing: sincerity. Some nights, when she closed the laundromat, he helped her carry the trash bags outside. Other evenings, they walked to the riverbank, sharing cheap sandwiches and talking about life like they'd known each other for years. Kevin never flirted too boldly, never rushed, never crossed boundaries. He treated her like she mattered, and that alone made her heart bend toward him. The night the walls broke. One evening, winter had just begun to frost the city. Nyla's sister Ivy came down with a fever. Nyla panicked. She couldn't miss work, and she couldn't afford a hospital visit that night. Kevin saw the worry in her eyes. "What's wrong?" he asked softly. Nyla hesitated, embarrassed. Most people didn't care about her problems, let alone ask, but something in Kevin made her trust him. "It's Ivy," she whispered. "She's sick. I don't know how to manage everything." Kevin placed a gentle hand on her shoulder, his voice steady. "You're not alone." Without asking more questions, he spent the night helping. He bought medicine with cash. He stayed by Ivy's side, cooling her forehead with a damp cloth. He made soup, too salty but sincere. He cleaned the apartment while Nyla held her sister close. Nyla watched him from the doorway, her heart swelling with something tender and terrifying. This man, this supposed scavenger, had the heart of someone extraordinary. That night, when Ivy finally slept and the apartment grew quiet, Nyla sat beside Kevin on the worn-out couch. "You're different," she said softly. "I don't know who you are, but thank you." Kevin swallowed hard. He wanted so badly to tell the truth, but fear held him silent. Fear of losing the only woman who ever loved him without a price tag. The breaking point. Days later, everything unraveled. A black SUV, sleek, expensive, pulled up near the laundromat. Kevin didn't see it at first, but he recognized the familiar voice that called out his real name. "Kevin Hale, there you are!" His business advisor had finally tracked him down. Nyla stood nearby, frozen. Kevin froze too. The advisor looked at Nyla, at Kevin's disguise, at the broken cart sitting beside the sidewalk. "What in the world are you wearing?" he demanded. "You have meetings in New York. You can't keep running off pretending to be whatever this is." Nyla felt her heart drop like a stone. Her breath caught. Her hands shook. Kevin turned to her slowly. "Nayla, I can explain." Her eyes filled with betrayal. "You lied to me this whole time?" Kevin stepped closer. "I didn't lie about my feelings, only about who I am." "And that's supposed to make it better?" she whispered. The street felt colder than winter. Cars buzzed past, but the world between them went silent. "I trusted you," she said. "You let me think you were struggling. You let me share everything with you. You let me love you without giving me the truth." Kevin's eyes shined with regret. I didn't want to lose you. You already did. And with that, she walked away. Past your love doesn't leave for days. Kevin tried to respect her distance. He returned to his penthouse, washed away the disguise, wore tailored suits again, and sat through board meetings that felt empty. But nothing felt right anymore. Luxury felt meaningless. Silence echoing in his penthouse felt unbearable. He had touched something real with Nyla, and losing it felt like losing air. After a week of torment, he made a choice. No disguise, no lies, no facade, just Kevin. He went back to her small apartment and knocked on the door. Nyla opened it a crack, exhaustion on her face. "I'm not here as a billionaire," he said quietly. "I'm here as the man who fell in love with you the moment you offered me clean recyclables. You showed me kindness when you thought I was nobody, and that changed me." Nyla's eyes softened, but her guard stayed high. "I don't know if I can trust you," she whispered. Kevin nodded. "I'll earn it." He reached into his pocket, not for jewelry, not for money, but for something simple. A small ring, silver, not expensive. "I bought this when I was still in disguise," he admitted. "Before you knew who I was. I bought it with cash because I wanted to give you something real. And I'm here today with the same ring, not because of what I have, but because of who you helped me become." Her breath trembled. "You think one speech fixes everything?" "No," he said gently. "But loving you does." There was a long silence. Then finally Nyla opened the door fully. She stepped toward him, slowly, unsure but hopeful. "Promise me one day I loved you before I knew the real you, and I love you even more now that I do." Kevin held her tighter. "And I love you," he said softly, "for seeing the man, not the billionaire."